Hi, reInvent. How are you guys doing? Keeping it? Yeah, okay. Let's do this. I feel like you're with me. So I'm Maya, and I'm here. I'm an Imagineer from Walt Disney Imagineering. Going to share with you the role DataSync had in one of our recent projects. And in case you're not super familiar with Imagineering, I brought along a little clip of what we've been up to recently.
When we dream up new ideas for Disneyland, they first take shape and form in preliminary studies. These scale models and the drawings and the blueprint. These are the things that dreams are made of.
Will you marry me?
Kind of the hype reel. And not gonna lie, I've probably seen it like 50 times rehearsing this talk, and every time I get like legitimately excited. It changes your perceptions about what's possible just working in an environment like that. So let's get to know each other a little bit. I am kind of new to systems engineering. This is my first reInvent, so I'm super excited to be amongst all of you and attend all of your talks and sessions. Super exciting. And I'm here representing on behalf of my team, the WDI infrastructure group, and a lot of others who contributed to this project. I especially want to embarrass David Green. He's in the back. He's one of our Amazon colleagues, and it was his idea to invite us to share this story. He possibly believes in me more than my own parents, so. And also, if you read ahead and you're a Dr. Mario player, please see me afterward, because I have a little side quest, just a personal plug. I'm trying to find someone who can beat me. So if you think that's you at reInvent, definitely come talk to me. Or we can talk about DataSync, either way, totally fine. So let's get it. We were migrating our disaster recovery copy to the cloud for this project. And you've probably seen something like this, and maybe it's why you're in this talk. We were running out of capacity, and the conversations you're all having are like, hey, are we going to add another node to this cluster? Are we going to be able to add nodes fast enough as life continues on? And we got to the point in the conversation where we decided, hey, this is a good time to move this data set to the cloud, more flexible, more scalable, all the things you're all talking about all week. For us, one problem though, we were dealing with 1.6 petabytes, which is more 1.6 of anything than I'm really able to scope in my mind. I just can't think logarithmically that big, it's enormous. So obviously this presents a little bit of an accounting challenge, keeping track of what's on-prem and what's in the cloud. So to illustrate this, let's talk about huge numbers just for 1 second. At Imagineering, we spend a lot of time framing our conversations around our guests and getting them on rides. So let's pretend that reInvent is a theme park. And last year, I'm told, there was something like 43,000 guests. So if all 43,000 guests wanted to take a ride on the WDI DataSync, we could have synced you all 26 billion times. which is enormous. The point here is this is quite a lot of bytes to keep track of in an organized fashion. Not to mention, there's differences in the file system around volumes. Not all bytes are created equally. Some sections that have the same amount of data are millions more files than other sections. It's a little bit of a challenge there. So how the heck did we get this thing done? Our pipeline consisted of 3 main pieces, Axiom, GitLab, and Terraform. Particularly want to shout out our SRE team for Axiom. This is our internal cloud automation tool that really propelled the whole project. These guys are the best. So here's what it looked like. We had our NFS on-prem talking to multiple agents, and we played around a little bit with kind of our implementation of those agents, different hardware, different network and such, to get this thing dialed in appropriately for the size of the tasks at hand. And our agents and our DataSync had all of the resources declared in Terraform. So Terraform was declaring our agents, our NFS locations, and our destination locations in S3, as well as all of the task creation. And then once those objects hit the bucket, we were life-cycling them initially, and it was a cute little conversation that came up. We were like, hey, you know what would be great is if there was a way to put these directly into other storage classes. And so that conversation was had when we started this project, and I'm happy to see that that is now a reality. And then once our lifecycle policy was run, we were moving objects to Amazon Glacier Deep Archive after 24 hours. So I kind of alluded to one of our core challenges, which was the millions of files limit. So for the task creation, there's a soft limit of 20 million files per task, and we had many a task that were more than 20 million files. We initially wanted to break this down at the top level of our file system and just have very few tasks, but it became clear that we were going to need to pivot and create tasks for a lot of volumes in order to make sure we met that requirement. And my colleague Adam actually came up with some super cool Terraform looping to basically create a task out of every volume at a sub-layer of our tree, and also matching S3 and NFS source and destination locations for the tasks in DataSync. So it ended up being over 170 tasks that we were able to create. Oh, great. In the final analysis, we ended up tuning this thing to have 2 agents on one 10-gig connection, moving about 40 terabytes a day, which was pretty efficient for what we were trying to get done. And for me, who was completely new to the cloud space, this was like mind-blowing. I would drop decimals in conversations. I'd be like, I think we moved 40 gigs last night, and then I'd look at it again. No, that was 40 terabytes. It's wild to think about. So I definitely mentioned I am new to reInvent. This is actually my first ever cloud project, my first ever AWS project, my first ever Terraform project. And so maybe this is your first DataSync, maybe this is your first reInvent, maybe this is just your next impossible, maybe you're gonna DataSync many, many more petabytes. I hope this encourages you to go for it. Thank you.